What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of We on the Last with Tyson Paul, the show where we talk to some of your favorite comics and tell them everything that you need to know about them from the beginning to their career to what they're doing right now. Tonight, we got a very special guest, man. We've been waiting a long time to have this lady on our show. She was a runner-up on NBC's Bring the Funny. You've also seen her on BET and the LOL Network. Let's give it up for the very lovely 12-year comedian from the South Bronx, Tacarra Williams. How's it going? Yes! Yes! How was that introduction on the scale from 1 to 10?
That introduction was perfect. You did your research.
Uh-huh.
You knew your
Okay.
stuff.
Yes.
And at first I was like, who is he talking about? I want to meet her too.
Yeah.
So you couldn't.
Well, yeah, no, I had to do it better because you know how comics usually for our shows or the host when they bring us up, it's the worst introduction ever. Like you probably get a better introduction at a clinic and stuff. So
Right. Yeah. Coming to the stage is my best friend. You've seen him on everything, and when I say everything, I mean everything. Give it up for what's your name again, kid?
Yes, exactly.
What's your name?
Oh man, I remember one of the first times I started doing stand up. I had this guy, and he wasn't even really a host. He wasn't even really a comic. He was just one of those guys that just hosts a show, and he was bringing me up, and he just was like, this next guy comes to the stage. Yeah, just bring him up.
Sometimes you gotta fight people who do stuff like that. You gotta fight them.
No, and then it made it worse. Like the DJ didn't play no music. He didn't know what to do. DJ didn't play no music. I just had to go up there, and I was like, "Yeah, man, like, yo, like, this is a great career path I've chose for myself." So, like,
you gotta go up there, like, "Hey, it's me."
Yeah, yeah. I was still young though.
My own name.
I was still early. I was still early though, so I didn't know. I didn't really know anything. But man, I can't wait to get into your career with you because it's actually, since I've been doing my research on you, it's actually been quite interesting and exquisite. It's been exquisite. You're definitely, I mean, I gotta say this off bat. You're definitely the sexiest person we've had to interview since we started this last year.
Even right now?
Yeah, like even the year's still early. The year's still early and stuff.
Yeah, it's still early. Somebody's gonna come in here and take that title. I mean, thank you. I appreciate that. I think, I'm just glad that I could be on a platform where I could just be comfortable. You know, most people come and they have on makeup, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna throw some glasses on. He's got glasses. I got glasses. And we just gonna get a glare into the camera together.
We glared in each other's eyes the entire interview. I mean, one of the reasons why you're the sexiest woman is because I'm in a committed relationship, and my girl don't like me interviewing other girls unless she thinks that I have no shot at them. So I'm glad that you made the show, and she's gonna tell me when she's watching this, you still ain't got no chance in hell with her. She looked like she date NFL players.
I'm in a committed relationship too, so I get it. I got you.
Yeah. Nah, he gonna look at this. He gonna look at this and be like, yeah, he still ain't got no shot. Like none. I don't know why the fuck he keeps talking. But I kind of want to I want to get started, but I always get started with our guests. Like, I always ask them the beginning, not of their career, but the beginning of them just learning about comedy in general. So I want to know, what were some of your earliest moments when it came to learning about comedy?
Stand up. Some of my earliest moments, I want to say, was Comic View moments. Richard Pryor, when he was doing his hour special. Eddie Murphy, a lot of Comic View, a lot of staying up later than I knew I was supposed to, risking my life. I wanted to watch BET.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
BET Comic View After Dark or something, and I used to watch it, and that's probably one of the first places I would start noticing stand up, because it was funny to me because it was so inappropriate. It was so inappropriate, and I enjoyed every second of hearing the sex jokes and all these. Oh, they were cursing, and I would be like laughing like to myself because I'm not supposed to be up, and I just was just like, this seems like a fun job to have, and you get to hang out with your friends. Now, I didn't want to be it wasn't I didn't always want to be a stand-up comedian. I actually never wanted to be a stand-up comedian before I started. It was never in my head. It was never something that I thought about. I never sat down somewhere and was like, I'm going to do stand-up. It just happened one day. I was in New Jersey auditioning for this movie role because I wanted to be an actress. I got out of a really bad breakup. And when I did, you know how women are, we got to go find ourselves. So I was just trying to get into whatever I could get into and just like try whatever I could try. And I said I wanted to be an actress. I went to this audition. I didn't get it. And the producer, we stayed in there for like 40 minutes just laughing. And he said, you should be doing stand up. And I said, I'm not doing stand up. And he said, you are hilarious. And that same day, they got me a show in Harlem with Omar Thompson. And I went that very same day and performed, and the producers showed up and they came to support me. And I was supposed to do 3 minutes. I did about 8. And I fell in love with it, and I never stopped.
Like, did you come from a strict like household? Like, cause like watching Comic View ain't that bad. I can understand if it was like Def Comedy Jam. Like, yeah, I had to stay. I couldn't watch Def Comedy, but you couldn't watch Comic View like as a kid.
Well, one, it came on really late, and I had school. And 2, it was Comic View after dark.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So there because it was regular Comic View. And then they had like the after dark, like remember they used to remix everybody's jokes together?
Yeah.
And that was like the after dark part. So that part I was not supposed to be watching, but I was watching it.
And then do you remember which Richard Pryor, like basically stand-up special that you watched and just fell in love with it?
Oh, excuse me. I don't remember which one. I know he had on a red suit.
Okay, Live on the Sunset Strip.
Live on Sunset Strip. It was that, and then I was also a really big fan of Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
Dave Chappelle's very first special was hilarious.
Oh, Killing Him Softly.
Yes, but I still didn't want to do comedy. It wasn't something that made me go, I want to do that. I just fell into it.
Yeah. And then you got out of a breakup. So like, what is it about women and breakups? Like, y'all got to break up with somebody to find your hidden talent. Like,
because a lot of times when we get into relationships, and men too, when you get into a relationship with someone, you compromise a lot of the things that you don't even realize what you're compromising just to make that other person happy and yourself in the moment. And then when it's no longer there, you're just like, I've become something for someone. Now I got to figure out who I am without them. And then we start this process of trying to figure out who we are when we're not in the relationship. And a lot of times it goes into us just jumping on stage and doing stand-up.
Okay, so what did that guy do then? The guy that so who broke up with who in the relationship? Did you break up with him or he broke up with you?
He broke up with me.
Okay.
Yeah, he broke up with me. My sister was in a really bad space in life, my oldest sister, and I needed to help my mom with having, just like fostering her kids. And he didn't like the fact that I would have to be a guardian to my nephew at the time. And he just felt like I didn't sign up for this, I don't want another kid in the house. I already have a kid, and it's just a lot, and I'm out. And I kind of felt like it was a cop out, but
yeah, basically.
I'm grateful though. I'm grateful for that moment because it led me to Q.
Yeah. I mean, if that didn't happen, another thing wouldn't have happened. So yeah, I'm a firm believer in that.
Right, I don't feel any way about it. So if he's watching, thank you.
Oh yeah, he is, and that because we'll talk about that later. Because I mean, he definitely is feeling like he messed up. But okay, so you already talked about like basically what it was like your first night doing stand up and how you were supposed to only do 3 minutes, instead you did 8. Like, what were you talking about that first night where everybody could just relate to you and
breaking
gave you
up
8 minutes?
Right. Well, first of all, it's New York comedy. So New York comedians and promoters, they'll be like, "You're gonna do 3 minutes," and they'll throw you on the stage and go outside and smoke a blunt, completely forget that you are on the stage.
Yes.
But he just kind of walked out of the room and was talking and forgot I was on the stage. And when he came back in, I was doing great. But I just talked about relationships. I just talked about what I thought breakup was going to be like versus what it really was, and how men break up and handle it versus how women break up and handle it. And just like how he paid for my gym membership. He was supposed to pay for my gym membership when we were together, and when we broke up, he was like, "I'm not paying for that." I was like,
"Yeah, I gotta cancel that.
Fine on the next motherfucker."
No, you can't.
So it was just right. It was just those jokes, and I was surprised to see that so many women related to it. Because there's nothing better than feeling like you're by yourself in something, and then you find out that you're not. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, I want to do this, and I never stopped.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay, so I want to know also, when I was doing research on you, I noticed that, okay, so you got married to somebody else while you were pretty much starting your comedy, and then you got divorced. What's it like? What do you think it's like being married to a comic?
What do I think it's like being married to me or being married to him?
Well, either or, because how it's like being married to him, but I can just only imagine what you thought it was like.
We were both comics.
Oh my God! Like how? Oh my God! It was love at first joke.
He still is a comic, but I was doing stand up first, and then we met. And then he was just like, "I want to try stand up," and he tried it, and I was really supportive, and I was like, "Do it." And he started doing stand up maybe about a year or two after me. So people think that when you are in a relationship with someone that's a stand up comedian, everything's funny. And I'm sure you get it. Like, you guys must have the best relationship. You must laugh all the time. He must we have the same situation that everybody else has. Have the same things. Yeah, nope. Actually, I want to fight them more.
It's a complete opposite.
Right. So being married and being a stand-up comedian, it has its pros and its cons. The pros are that you can finagle your way out of situations with just a joke. The cons are, everybody was always like, "It's not funny. It's not a joke." And it's like I was being serious too. So it's just different. It was an experience,
Did you guys have joke offs at the house?
We did have joke offs. We used to put topics in a hat. And you would have to pull out whatever topic it was, and you had 30 seconds to talk about that topic and make it funny. And if the other person didn't laugh or giggle or anything, you had to take a shot of liquor.
What? Damn, you was really trying to improve his comedic stylings and his alcohol habit.
And mine.
And yours. I'm pretty sure you won most of the time.
But the funny thing is that the more you drink, the funnier things got.
Yeah. You were like, "Wait till I get to my third shot. I'm gonna come back."
So I can honestly say it was fun.
Oh man. And okay, so you got married. Why'd you guys divorce?
We divorced. When you're married to someone who's also a stand-up comedian, it can be difficult for the relationship, especially when one of you is getting booked more than the other, or you're getting a little more recognition than the other. And then that can definitely bleed into the personal relationship. And I just woke up one morning and was just like, I'm not happy here. And I just was like, I don't want to do this. And, because I was working and, we had just had a baby. And I was just like, I need to get out of this. And I wasn't happy. I just didn't feel like myself. And I think it's important.
But that's the moment when you're supposed to be in love with the person the most, because you just had a baby with them. And you guys are married. You guys are actually official family. Okay, because I never understood this about women either. Like, you guys wake up one morning and just, I checked out, like, and I don't want to be with you no more, so I'm gonna just move out.
But I don't
Like,
think
and
it's
it'd be like at the
necessarily
drop of a hat.
right. But I don't think necessarily checking out. I think that there are so many signs that not just women, men too, we give to our partner to let them know that, I'm not happy. And your partner has to take your happiness serious.
Mm.
And some people will be like, well, figure it out. And I get that we are in charge of, and then you get to the point where you realize you're in charge of your own happiness. So we did the marriage counseling and it didn't help. And then there
Mm.
was some other, things happening in the marriage. And I just told myself that anything that threatens my mental stability, I have to walk away from.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't understand that concept, but if you're in a relationship with someone and you start to feel like you are slowly losing your mind because you're
Mm.
starting to think bad thoughts, you're starting
Mm.
to have bad feeling, you're starting to picture yourself you just have this moment and go, this is unhealthy, because some people get to the point where they don't want to work, it changes their mood, they don't want to eat, or they eat too much. And when you get to that point and it starts to affect you mentally and emotionally in that way, you have to walk away.
Mm.
Because all we have is our mind, and once you lose that, you can't it's hard to come back once you lost your mind. Like,
That.
mental health is extremely serious to me. So, and we was
Yeah.
just in that place, and I was just like, I think we'd be better off if we just, took a break and, just stepped away, and that was it.
Oh man, did you guys run into each other at comedy shows after that?
I mean, we have a whole kid together, so we still have to communicate with each other.
No, I'm saying like
Um,
comedy shows. Like, did you run each other like y'all both on the same show or something like
no,
that? Like, how awkward that is.
no, we have yet to be on the same show. We have yet to be booked by the same people. We have yet to
Okay.
have any of those experiences.
Okay.
So yeah,
And this
yeah.
was like while you were in New York, or you had already moved to Los Angeles? Because now you live in Los
I got
Angeles.
married. I got married in New York, and when we moved to LA, we had a baby, and then got divorced. That's a weird
Ah. Yeah.
timing, but that
Yeah.
happened.
Okay.
It happened just
Yeah.
like that.
Wow. So when you got to LA, okay, and you started doing shows, like what was the LA? Because you know the New York experience. What was the LA experience like for you when you first got out here, like doing shows? Was it easier
Um,
or was it more difficult?
when I finally got on a stage, it took me about 6 months to actually get on a stage.
Mm.
But when I finally got on a stage, it was easy.
Mm.
But getting on the stage was difficult because nobody knew me, no one could vouch for me, and I just wasn't going up anywhere. And then I
Mm.
finally did one show at the J Spot in Inglewood, and there was some promoters and comedians there who saw me, and they were like, "Damn, she's funny."
Mm.
And then that was it. I just got a Everybody just started booking me after that. But the difference between New York comedy is New York. Where are you from?
Central California, so
Okay,
around LA area.
okay. So New York is aggressive.
Mm.
When you get on stage in New York, everybody's like this. Everybody's like, I paid $5 to get in here. Make me laugh.
Mm.
And when you start comedy in a place like that, you become a beast
Mm.
because you have fought for laughter. You learn how to control your voice. You learn how to change your tone. You learn how to go really low, to go really, really loud. So if the crowd is too loud, you bring your voice back low, and it forces them to listen because you're low now. So starting out in New York, I'm grateful for it because it's like you gotta fight for them to laugh. But then you come to LA and everybody's like, this is gonna be interesting. I'm excited. They laugh as soon as you walk up. She looks like she's gonna be good.
Mm.
So New York comedy is really aggressive, the scene, and LA comedy is really laid back.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
really lax, really chill. And it was really difficult for me to get up. I didn't get up for months when I first moved here. And I wasn't doing any open mics, and I just couldn't get up. And then I got one opportunity at the J Spot. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the very next time I performed, it was at the Monday Night Improv
Mm.
with
Okay.
Spike. Yeah. And
Okay.
it's a transition. But I love LA though. I love the comedy scene here.
Mm.
I love the audience. I love the venues. I love it here.
Yeah, and then being a woman in comedy, like, do you think it's easier to do stand up in New York or in Los Angeles, or on the West Coast? I guess East Coast, West Coast. Do you think it's easier, like, for one?
I think it's the same to me. Just if we're just gonna bring in gender, I think it's the same. I think if you are even if you're not funny and you're just a good looking woman, you're gonna get stage time. But if you're a good looking woman and you're funny, you are going to propel because people don't feel like they get that often enough. So it's like we have women who are funny. Yeah, they're cute, they're great. But when you're good looking and you're really, really a nice and sweet person, and then you are hysterical, they push you fast. Because that's what happened when I moved to LA. They were just like, oh, a black girl who doesn't talk about sex and she's cute. And I just started getting calls and calls. You want me to do this show? We want you to do this show. We want you to try this show. And I think I wasn't even in LA for 3 years. And I had gotten the Robin Harris Award for up and coming comedian. I had did stand up and deliver on Nouveau TV, which was my first TV appearance.
I saw that.
Yeah, I had done so many things. I was doing the Improv, which was a big deal. Monday nights at the Improv was a big deal. It was Spike and Deray Davis. I was doing the Tuesdays at the Comedy Store, and I hadn't even been out here for 2 years. And to some people, that's a big deal. And to me, it was just like, I'm just trying to get on, you know? So I think being a woman in comedy in general, it has its pros and its cons, you know? You get put up because you're pretty or you're funny, but then you have the men who dislike the fact that you're up and they say, well, you're only up. I had so many guys that used to be like, why is she up there? You know, like, why is she on the lineup? Guys used to walk into the club and see my name on the lineup and try to get me take it off.
Wow.
And they would be like, why is she just got here, she's only been in LA for a couple years, she's already, featuring, and and then I would hear about it and it would make me go on stage and go harder.
Yeah. Like, I think with comedy, like, if you're in the game long enough, you're gonna have some form of negativity towards you, and then in a way, like, you got to treat that as like a positive, because the more negative they are kind of being around you, you kind of must be doing something right. And stuff. And then especially with you, like, sitting there having guys like wanting to make sure you get bumped off the show is kind of weird, but it's just like, okay, like, I must be doing something right, because, like, I'm not sleeping with these dudes, but like, they put me on shows, so I gotta be funny. And yeah, like you said, LA comedy is a lot different, because, like, there's a lot of women, a lot of female comics and stuff like that, but the stigma about female comics in Los Angeles, or just on the West Coast period, is that all they talk about is sex. So like, when they find somebody like you that don't really do it, like, now you're like basically like PG friendly. You can just basically go anywhere. You can be at a school, like, they'd be like, yeah, I got this elementary school like charity fundraiser, they looking for some comics. Yeah. I need you to come through.
But it's just, the stigma, it's not just for the West Coast, it's for the East Coast. The stigma is women only talk about sex, and pretty women aren't funny. You can't be pretty and funny. That doesn't exist. I used to hear it all the time. And I used to watch women go up that were good looking and just take it to the face. And I'll be like, come on, girl, do it for us. They talking about us over there. Hurry up. So, and I use that as motivation just to be great, Yeah.
And then, so basically, I mean, your first TV credit was Stand and Deliver. That used to be on CTV. I used to watch it. It was
really
weird. Yes, man. I used to watch it. I used to watch every episode of it. I think I remember a couple of the comics on there. One dude, Rick Rome, was on there. You were on there. Oh man, what's the guy's name? Bald head black guy, like I only know him from his teeth. Bruce Jingles was on there.
Yeah, it was so many of us on there, and I was like the newbie.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like it was Ida Rodriguez.
Yes.
It was so many, and I was just like the Kanisha Bus was on there, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like the newbie. Like I've only been here for I was only there for about a year.
Yeah, no, because I was
Like,
because when that show came out or when that show was on, I was just starting to do stand up,
mm-hmm.
and I was from Central California, and like, man, you would have thought like you thought that show, you guys were like the biggest things like ever, like anybody on TV. Because I mean, and then back at that time, this is like early 2000, like 2003, 2004. So like social media wasn't really as big as it was
No, this was
now.
2000. This was more 2012, 2000. This was like 2012, 2013.
Ah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm like
Yeah, yeah.
2004.
Hey man, she was like, I was still in New York, but no,
I was in preschool in 2004.
man, I want to say, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, it was 2000, yeah, like, yeah, I would say like 2000s and stuff. But yeah, no, like social media wasn't still as big as it was like now. So like
Right.
seeing people like you on TV, like you would think that you guys made it. Like, oh yeah, they doing like late night and everything all the time and stuff. I seen, and then on top of that with CTV, they would play those episodes
I
over
still
and
have
over
never
again.
seen it.
What?
I
Well, they don't
have
have.
never seen the episode.
I think they call it something else now. I don't think they call it CTV, but you can probably look online. If you look on
I have.
YouTube,
I've looked everywhere for that, and I've never. I could never find it.
I gotta try and find it for you. I gotta try and find
Right.
it for you. Like I'll deep dive it for you and stuff.
Okay.
But
I would
okay,
really
so
appreciate that.
so you did stand and deliver. Okay, what was your next TV credit after that? Do you remember?
I did stand up and deliver. I want to say I did something on BET.
Mm,
Uh, I don't remember the name of it, or She's Funny, or She's Something. We filmed it at the Improv.
mm.
I don't think it ever aired, but they
Okay.
used me for promo. No, you know what? It did air. I never saw it, but they used me for promo over and over. And people used to be like, I see you on BT," and I'm like, "Where is it? I can't find it."
I'm s- I'm starting to think you just don't want to see yourself. Like
I don't
I ain't
honestly. I
seen
don't like to
it.
watch myself on television. So I
Okay.
did that. Um, I think everything else was like a blur almost. I filmed something with Tiffany Haddish and Samson, and it was called Jokes and Karaoke.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we filmed that. I don't know if it ever got picked up. Um, and then I think the next big thing that I did on TV, and correct me if I'm missing something, was the half an hour special with Kevin Hart on
Yeah,
Comedy
I think
Central.
so. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
I think
Yeah,
that.
the next level. Yeah, because I think I do remember that. Okay, because like, what was that experience like? Like just being like around Kevin Hart, like at that time and
Um,
stuff.
It was, but I had already known Kevin Hart. Maybe
Yeah.
about a year prior, I had met him in Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
and every time I would go to like Heartbeat Studios, I would always see him and we would talk. So I know who he is, and when there were TV premieres and stuff, I would always go. So we had already had a friendship prior to, um, that, but it was an experience. It was a theater with close to 3,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people from my job, all the deputies and stuff, they're there.
Yeah.
And just to have, that was my first time having wardrobe. That was my first time having hair and makeup. I had my own giant room. People were catering to me. What do you need? What do you want? What can we do? And it
Mm-hmm.
was just like, and then to walk out on that stage and get a standing O at the end was like, it was one of the best moments of my life so far.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
that was one of the best moments of your life, but also we all know, like a lot of comics, like know the inside works of television, especially in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
What happened right as the show was over? Like you just walked outside, went to your car, went home. Like what happened?
On the Comedy Central, the stand up
Yeah, on the
thing.
next level. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Well, it was my birthday too around that time. So
Oh, okay.
after the show, we filmed. Everybody does the cleanup, and then you just kind of leave. And I wound up having like a party thrown, just like a celebration at this club nearby. So everybody kind of filtered over there, and we just danced the night away and had some drinks and had a good time. And it was still it was surreal to me for so long until they were like, we have an air date. And I think my episode also got nominated for an Emmy.
Ah.
Yeah. And it wasn't real until it was airing. And I had like a viewing party at this studio in NoHo, and I invited a bunch of people, thinking that nobody would show up, and 100 people showed up, and I sat down. That was the first time I ever watched myself on TV. I made myself watch myself, and it was good, and everybody loved it and laughed, and we had a really, really, really good time. So that was awesome. Yeah.
That's great. That's amazing. That's amazing, because I know, like, I've interviewed a couple other comics that have done like TV stuff, and I'll be like, yeah, like, so what happened right after you shot the show? They were like,
you go home.
I got an Uber and went home.
You go home.
It's like nothing glamorous. I got an Uber. Ate a TV dinner at home. Yeah,
had some top ramen.
Yeah,
and I went home. But
I definitely didn't sign for a house.
Right. People think that it's just like the biggest thing to happen, and even though it is big, it takes time. Like, we got to forget that it has to air, and unless you are doing a comedy competition and you win, right after, nothing really happens. Like, you don't get anything from it until it actually airs. So so there was that, and then I went to so my first time doing Just for Laughs was that same year. I did Just for Laughs that year, and I did the Kevin Hart LOL Network show.
Yeah.
Which was pretty dope, and I had never been to Montreal to JFL. And I went for the first time, and I was doing Kevin Hart's thing, which I enjoyed. But as I'm walking around, I'm like, what is all of this other stuff going on? And I found out there's a whole other part of the festival that I never even knew existed. Because I'm just here for this one thing, and I'm thinking this is the biggest thing. And it's not. Like, there's a whole festival going on over here. And I told myself, I'm going to come back next year, and I'm going to conquer this festival. And the very next year, I went back, and I went back as a new face, which is a really big deal.
Yeah.
Because JFL is it's the biggest comedy festival in the world.
Yeah.
And I went back as a new face on the comedy festival. So I did about 5 shows with new faces. And then I also did the roast battle. I don't know how I got in there. But I did the roast battle, and I made it to the 3rd round. I don't know how. But I made it to the 3rd round, and then the guy who's like the king, he beats me. And then I wound up filming. I did my very first gala, hosted by Anthony Anderson, with 5,000 people in attendance. I was again the baby on the show, and that was another pivotal moment in my stand-up career. Was the Just for Laughs gala, and just going there and being the buzz of Just for Laughs 2 years ago. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Like, it's funny that you mentioned earlier about comedy competitions, because one of your most notable, credits, one of your most notable credits is you were the runner-up for NBC's comedy show, Bring the Funny. Now, there used to be an old comedy show on NBC called Last Man Standing. And I remember, like, when that first came out, I actually went and tried to do the audition part for it. And, like, I remember what that process was like. You just basically had to stand in a long-ass line. Like, you did 2 minutes just for, like, an executive or somebody to tell you that, it's not going to work or something like that. It was very few. Now, for Bring the Funny, since you had already had, like, recognition and stuff, like, did you still have to do an audition part, or were you just basically cast on the show?
So this was before I even went to JFL and did the whole thing in JFL. I was minding my business at home, and I get a phone call from someone named Josh. He's the executive producer on the show. And he was like, so I've been following your career. We have an opportunity to present to you. And I said, okay. And he said, it's a comedy competition. And I said, okay. And he said, we think you'd be perfect for it. And we just want to cast you for it. And I said, well, when is the audition? And he said, well, you don't have to audition for it. We already know who you are. We're offering it to you. And I said, okay. And he said, so is this something you're interested in? And I said, well, I'm not really into competitions. And he just explained to me that it was on NBC and that the exposure is more important than anything. And, he was just like, you want this exposure. And I said, okay. And I said yes. And within 2 weeks, I was on set. Yeah.
And how long was that entire process, like taping the show and then going through the actual competition? How long was that process?
It was about a month of taping. And then, we went on like a hiatus for a couple weeks because then it started to air. And then the final 2 episodes were live episodes.
Okay.
So then we started filming in June or July. No, we started filming in April because it was my birthday. So we started filming in April, May, and then we cut for like June and July, or July and August, and then we had to come back in the end of August, September for the finales. And we filmed the finales, and even though we knew who won, I couldn't say anything for like a whole week. And it was a fun experience. I made a lot of amazing friends from that show that I still talk to this day. And it was just an experience. It was something that I would definitely do again if I had the opportunity to. And it was fun. I had a blast. I got an opportunity to perform in front of part of America that I didn't even know exist.
Yeah, yeah. Was it was doing the jokes? Were doing the jokes like difficult? Like, cause I know, I've seen your comedy and stuff like that. I wouldn't say it's like the most corporate, but it's not like raunchy, but it's not like
It'd be
NBC. Okay, so NBC being
I'll be
like
a little
corporate
nasty sometimes. They do. They actually pick out some jokes and tell you which one they think will be best. And then they have you write the joke, practice it, write the joke, practice it, write the joke, practice it over and over again, because they just want to make sure that, you don't say anything offensive. They want to make sure that you get your best joke, because you only get one joke per round. And they just wanted to make sure that I did my best. So it was weird with you not picking your joke. Or you could pick your joke, but then they would suggest the best joke. And I want to say that every joke that they suggested that would go over well went over well. Where some other comedians were extremely stubborn with the process. They would be like, I could pick my own joke. I know my own joke and I know what joke's going to work best. And the producer would be like, this is network television. We want to be mindful of what we say. And we just want to pick a joke, because at the end, these people have to vote for you. And you want them to like you. And I just went with whatever joke. We would sit down and have a discussion, and they would say, well, we think this is better than this, and this is why. And they would give me a couple of jokes to choose from, and I would choose the one that I was most comfortable with. But for the most part, it worked out well. So I'm grateful for the experience.
Okay. Well, do you think that if you actually do you think if you got to use your own material, got to select everything, do you think you would have won the show, or do you think you would have did worse?
If I got to pick my own material, I want to say I did pick my own material. I wouldn't have done anything different. I wouldn't have done any different jokes. And a lot of my jokes were brand new jokes. All of the jokes that I did were brand new. And the producers are like, you just did that. I said, I think I performed that joke like 3 times on stage. This is like the 4th time I'm performing it. And they're like, you're so confident with this joke. And I'm like, well, it's not the joke, it's the story. So if you can tell a good story, you can tell a good joke. And and those were the jokes that went over really well.
So are you one of those type of comics that basically like you always have new material because you don't really do the old stuff over and over? It's just kind of like you're always coming up with new like stories or something like that, so you just basically are naturally like just up there telling the story?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I have a solid set that I would do regularly, But
Mm-hmm.
when you're a storyteller, it's just an easier way to pull in new jokes because it's a story, and it's people are following it to see where it's going, and it's just easier to do that. But I do have new jokes all the time because I always have new experiences, and I just
Mm-hmm.
always talk about my experiences, so that leaves, space for always new content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then after that show, so like I mean, after Bring the Funny, I mean, you did Just for Laughs, and you were doing other stuff. But what is that window like for somebody that is competing on a show like that, and basically, okay, show's over. Like you got to do whatever in the meantime before they air it, or like after they air it, like okay, you didn't win, but you got you got the exposure from it. Like how long does an average comic like that have to capitalize on that exposure?
I want to say it depends on your team.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a good publicist, you have a good agent and a good manager, they will make it work
Mm-hmm.
for you in your favor. But for the majority of the time, I want to say 6 months to
Mm-hmm.
do as much as you can, because it's going to be airing on repeat for, those months. And you want to capitalize on the fact that you're still on national television. You're still on the app. People are still watching.
Mm-hmm.
People are still seeing you. So I want to say about 6 months, you got to jump into something in six
Mm-hmm.
months. But if you
Mm-hmm.
are, for me, it was a little different because I was the runner up that everybody thought should have won.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a different take on it because, the people that won, I love them, but they kind of ran their course,
Yeah.
and people are still watching it. Like, I just saw you on
Yeah.
NBC's Bring the Funny. I was watching it on Hulu, and you were
Yeah.
so funny. So it's still going, and I'm still getting the love. So I don't know how long that will last for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Most shows, like they like the true winner never really wins.
Right.
like if you look at a American Idol or The Bachelor or basically any comedy show like
Hmm.
like just any comedy competition and stuff like that, they always like they never pick the person that everybody thought was gonna win. They always pick
Right.
like the surprise. But I think they kind of do that for TV. Like now that I'm
Right.
older and kind of see it, I think they just do it for TV suspense,
Right.
like because it's more shock value to the person that everybody thought was gonna win that doesn't win. You get
Right.
more like attention from that than the
You
actual
do,
person
you
winning.
do.
So
I didn't win the $250,000, which I would have loved to win, but I
yeah,
still won
yeah,
in a weird way. The fact that I could go to different cities across the country and sell out nights at a comedy club is
hmm,
winning to me.
yeah,
That's the win for me. The fact
yeah,
that people will drive hours just to see me live,
hmm,
that's a win for me. So I'm appreciative of those moments and those people who still support, still love
yeah,
me, still are coming to see shows. I have some shows in DMV area next weekend, and then Cleveland, Ohio the following weekend, and people are still really supportive. So I
yeah.
didn't win the title, but I definitely won.
Mm. Okay, so I mean, you basically travel like you're constantly like for the past couple of years. You've been basically doing shows all over. You
Hmm.
were almost like booked like
Yeah.
every weekend somewhere. Okay, and then 2020, March of 2020 happened,
Honey.
and basically the pandemic happened.
Hmm.
Okay, somebody at your level, like, because I've asked a lot of comics that like, okay, because basically the pandemic basically shut down probably 85 to 90% of the comedy industry for a very
Hmm.
long time.
Right.
Um, like, what was it like for somebody like you, like from the beginning when you sat there and didn't know basically anything about the pandemic? You just thought like, okay, this is gonna only last like maybe 2 weeks or something like that. You just only had like maybe one or two shows canceled. To now,
Right.
where it's like, oh man, like I gotta
How do
drive.
I
I mean, I gotta
live?
fly. I gotta fly all the way to DMV. I can't do any shows in California. I gotta fly all the way back to the East Coast to do some shows and stuff.
Right.
So, like, what was it? Did it take its toll on you, like physically, mentally? Like, how did all this happen? Like for a comic of your stature?
I really thought it was gonna be like 2 weeks. I was like, this is gonna be 2 weeks. We're gonna be back in there and nothing. But what it did do was, and I was still performing. Well, not I didn't perform for months, but I was doing like it forces you up to other outlets. Makes you go another direction. So I was doing a lot of Zoom shows.
Mm-hmm.
I started going live a lot more, and oh, it forced me to be still.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're going through things in life and we mix being booked and busy with productivity, like with being productive, and just because you're moving around doesn't mean you're doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it forced me to sit down and figure out what else it is that I could do.
Mm-hmm.
And I started writing, and I have a show that's being created right now, which I'm so grateful for. So grateful for that. And it just made me stronger in other areas that I may have been neglecting because I was so busy with stand up.
Mm-hmm.
But it was scary because that's my money,
Yeah.
that's my income. That's how I pay my bills. That's how I take care of my kids. And now my income is gone. And it was just like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And you just figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to figure it out. So yeah.
Yeah, no, so and I mean with the income part, like did you were you always a person that always had a backup plan, or like are you like a good saver, like, and everything like that? Because like that first like month you were like, I'm just losing a month of stuff, but then like when it got to month 6,
when they said we are pushing this tour back indefinitely, I'm like, what? I was able to save, but then I started looking at other avenues of income. So I'm monetized on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I started telling myself I need to put more time and effort into YouTube because that's a moneymaker as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got monetized on Instagram. And then
Yeah.
I said I need to start putting more effort and time into Instagram because these are all different sources of income for me that I've been neglecting. And I'm sitting back like, how am I going to pay my bills? What am I going to do when I can just go make some great videos and content and put it up on YouTube, get the views, get the check?
Yeah, and then another thing that I would probably work for you is if you just started an OnlyFans page but only did comedy on it.
With only
It just only did comedy on it. Like faked everybody out. You just had like one sexy picture, and then like everybody just follows, like goes to your OnlyFans, and then you're like, I'm just telling jokes on here, y'all. Pay me for some jokes. And so
I'm
y'all.
let me see. This man said this man is gonna be like hell to the
Nah, you got some weird. They got some weirdos on there. They got some weirdos that be like, well,
I have a friend on there who does her feet, and she makes like,
oh my god,
15 grand a month. 15 grand a month showing her
feet.
For feet.
I might have to show my feet on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Like I think they are.
You got good looking feet.
They're like alright for dudes. They're not they like maybe $75. $75 with good feet, not 15.
That's okay.
1,500.
Try it. You'd be surprised who like feet. You would be surprised who want to pay to see your toes.
Wow.
You would be so surprised how many people would pay $20 a month to see your toes.
Well, there you go. Then you got a hustle right there. Like jokes and toes with Tacarra Williams.
That's hilarious.
Jokes and toes. Jokes and toes.
I just figured there's so many different ways to get income, and I just started to be a little more business savvy and think more along those lines. And then I'm okay. I've figured it out. We're figuring it out. So yeah.
Well, as a comic, I mean, like comedy has changed as far as like achievements, like throughout the years. Like, cause remember, like when you first started, all you wanted to do was get on TV, and now with it, like basically being more streaming and everything, like TV's not just, I mean, it's not what it used to be. Like, oh, like I just want to get on a streaming show or something like that, and you can just easily do that. And one of the things that I know is like popular for comics is we will do anything for a blue check mark. And you have a blue check mark.
I do.
So what was it like the first time seeing that blue check mark? And then on top of it, what is it like now when you see it? Like, is it still the same joy, or is it just like it's just a blue check mark?
It's just a blue check mark. When I had someone was when I after I had started filming Bring Up Bunny and it was starting to air, people were making fake pages. And this was the first time I ever requested it. I reached out to my agent and I said, "Hey, people are making fake pages of me. What do I do about it?" And he said, "Give me, give me to the end of today." And I said, "Okay." And he never called me back and he never emailed me back. But I go on Instagram and I'm like scrolling and I'm just like on Instagram and I'm like, "Oh, that looks like a blue check." Anyway, wait a minute, is that a blue check? And within an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours, I was verified.
I did. So, like, you sure you can give your agent's number out, right?
No. I can give you his number, but I can't do it on you.
Nah, I won't. I just want the blue check. I don't even really I don't really want to even bother him or anything like that. I just want the blue check and then ask him more information about telling jokes and toes on OnlyFans, because like I feel like he's gonna tell you that next week.
It's the blue check is great when you want for people who you want to think that you are important or some stature, but the blue check also gives people what's the word? They feel like they are entitled.
Yeah.
You know, like some of the stuff people say to me is so outrageous. And when I comment back, their response is, "I didn't honestly think you would read that."
Yeah.
Because you're famous. People think a blue check means you're famous or you are top tier successful. It's just saying that you are verified, that you are you. Because you are at risk of being duplicated. You are at risk of being cloned. Your account is at risk of being a fraud is what it is. So, you know, when they give you the blue check, it's just to say that you are who you are. That's all it is. And not to be mistaken that you're talking to a Tacarra Williams from Tacarra Williams 46, like, you know, and I'm asking for money on that page. And people are like, Tacarra Williams is that, and I'm like, that's not my real page. You know, like there was a whole fake page that said Tacarra Williams with my face as the picture, of course, and it was sending people tits. And people were like, "Are you sending people tits?" And I'm like, "That's not even my account." I don't even know who. Those aren't even my tits. Like those aren't even the same complexion of my tits.
Wait, did you say that's not my account first, or did you say those aren't my tits?
The first thing I said was, "Whose titties are those?" Though I don't know my titties. My titties are not brown skin titties, and those are my titties. And now, whose account is this? Who is this trying that these are my tits? It was the weirdest thing. Tits?
That's funny. That's hilarious. That's a moment. That's a moment right there. And stuff, because like I already know.
Whose phone is that?
Actually, it's mine. Actually, my girl is calling me. She's wondering why I'm still talking to other women right now. And I was like, look, I'm trying to get my hustle. I'm trying to get my hustle on.
Trying to get that blue check for you, baby.
I'm trying to get She don't see like my girl. Sometimes she don't understand it. She loves me to death. She hates comedy because she
How
feels
long have you been
like 15 years.
Oh,
So way before I met her. And stuff, but I met her and but if it wasn't for comedy, we'd have never met. Actually,
really? Okay.
Yeah, I tell her that every time when she sits there and gets mad about it. I'll be like, well, if it wasn't for comedy, we'd have never met. And she she shuts up real quick, but then she'll be like, nah, we'd have met at some point. And I was like, no, we wouldn't have. But
that's hilarious.
No, I think when you're dating a comic, it's basically time consuming. Like you gotta be okay with the person's time when you're dating a comic, because like especially if you're dating a comic that's really trying to do something with their career and stuff, because like a lot of their time is taken up. A lot of the time they're gonna be on their phone like doing stuff. A lot of the time they're gonna be sitting there thinking of jokes, or a lot of times they're just gonna be trying to get shows everywhere. So or just they're just sitting there, especially during the pandemic, like she.
when people say that and they say like, when you get into a relationship with a comic, you got to understand it because of the time. But I think we got to think of it the other way too. Like we got to be mindful of their time too.
Yeah, yeah.
And I only say that because my boyfriend is a life skills coach, and he's a relationship specialist. So he has lots of clients.
Yeah.
And he's always on his phone because he gets DM'd questions all the time. And before I met him and we started, being in a relationship, he would take 24-hour sessions. He would make it to where his clients were available to him 24 hours a day. And I learned from him what I've done to others.
Okay.
Which is he's constantly in his phone, he's constantly on his computer, he's constantly working. When he's not on the phone or on the computer, he's got his notebook out and he's thinking of, because he's got this 30 days to get over your ex. He's got couples that he's giving sessions to. He's got to take notes because they've got a session coming up at 8 and he wants to remember what they talked about last time. And I'm just like, hey, I'm right here. Can I have a session now?
Is it?
And it's because I'm a comedian and I'm out of work.
Yeah.
And he's a life skills coach, relationship specialist, and now is the great time. Everybody's calling him now because everybody's stuck at home with their spouse and they're getting on their nerves and the relationship is about to end. Help us. So now his business is booming.
Booming. Go.
And I'm over here like this, twiddling my fingers, trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
So, I just think that when you're in a relationship in general, we just have to be mindful of each other's time and just understanding of because you got to make time, for your person.
Oh, yeah, I make time. I make time already. I make time, but like I said, if you date a comic, you just got to understand you got to get an understanding with it. But as far as your boyfriend and his life skills, even women just even noticing that another woman's DMing they man is just weird. So
it don't bother me. They paying and I'm going to dinner tomorrow. So it don't really bother me.
See the difference between your guy and me is if my girl saw him and I told her hey, he getting DMs from other women all hours of the night and she don't care. And she'll be
no, hell no. I know now. When we first got together, I didn't know he was getting it. And one day he gets a phone call at 5 o'clock in the morning. We're asleep. And it's a client. And she's like, hello. And he's like, hey. When you wake up, you got that raspy voice. Hey, what's going on? And she's like, is this a good time? And he was like, let me, and he looked over and I was like this.
Yeah. Is it?
Nigga, what?
I feel like it was. I feel like it was a good time.
And he said, I have to call you back and let you know. And she's all crying. She's like, okay. So he said, babe. I said, it is 5 o'clock in the goddamn morning. And he said, I know, but I don't know what's going on with her. I need to talk to her. I said, you are in a relationship now. You have a woman now. You do not spend your time alone. You have to be mindful and respectful of my time. You need to cut this 24-hour shit out. The latest you can take a client is 9. The earliest you can take a client is 9.
So you just manage his money?
I'm not managing his money. I'm managing our time. Some things, if you don't come to a compromise in the beginning of the relationship about it, it'll be the reason you break up later. And he understood it. I said, imagine I'm in the bed with you, we're asleep together, and then somebody calls you and you hop out of this slumber with me to go talk to a woman about her man that keeps cheating on her over and over again, but she won't leave him. She can wait. You need business hours. You need regular business hours now. And he understood it and he adjusted. And I had to adjust my stand-up too. I can't have comedians calling me all times of the night wanting to talk about craziness because I'm in a relationship. There has to be boundaries and in your relationship, because if you want to do what you want to do when you want to do it, then you got to be by yourself. But if you're going to share your space and time with someone, then you have to listen to how they feel and what they say has to hold some type of merit.
That's a good point. Okay, that's a good point. I learned something
I
new.
know you ain't want to hear that. You ain't want to hear that.
Nah, I want you to agree with me. Now, like, she gonna watch this and be like, just look at me the whole time. And I'll be like, I hate Tacarra now. She's not the sexiest person we've had. Like,
because I'm sure your lady is very supportive of you, but I'm sure sometimes
sometimes
she just wants you.
Yeah, she's wait a minute. First of all, this is a podcast. We can talk about this later. Anyway,
Okay,
going on to the next.
I'm sorry.
Trying to get me in trouble on here, okay? She gonna watch this.
I love love. I want love to work. I want everybody to love. So I'm just always trying to make sure that we stay together and love each other. That's all.
You ain't finna life skills me. Anyway.
I was almost there.
You ain't finna life skills me. Yeah, man, so I was about to lay back, man, I was about to pay you another like $25. Like, look, man, I don't know what the fuck is going on and shit with her. So she wild. She wilding and stuff. But so speaking of life skills and stuff like that, you used to work as an inmate for
a teacher,
for a prison. And
I did.
Is there a difference between working at a prison, trying to teach life skills to inmates, or is it more difficult trying to teach your kids math during the pandemic?
It's more difficult trying to teach your kid math during the pandemic because you can't go home because you're already home. When you're teaching at a jail, it's just a job, and when you're a teacher, you get to leave, and when you're working a job, you get to leave and you get to go home. But when you are trying to teach your child math at home, you're stuck at home with this child. So I would take teaching at a jail over teaching my child math at home any day.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I mean, but like is your child one of those kids like they just too lazy to learn, or is it more like they just like, Mom, I don't get it?
Well, she's 6 and she has a lot of energy, and she's in a classroom in a Zoom with 26 other 6-year-olds, and it could be a lot for them. It's a lot for the teacher, and it's just not the way they're supposed to be learning. So it's really difficult.
Okay.
I mean, I think we've got it under we've got it down packed now, but before it could be really, really, really difficult.
Yeah, so you just can't wait for them to get back to school.
I can't.
I can't. She's like, I'll risk Corona for them to go to school.
I will drop them off in the front of the building and drive off. They will have lunch.
Oh.
I will bring a desk. I don't take them with you. So yeah.
Oh my God! No, you terrible. You're terrible. You're terrible. And then you got a 20-year-old son that like he dates now or has a girlfriend.
He has a girlfriend.
And you can't stand her.
I like her.
Oh, did you not like another one or something like that? Because you say it like, I mean, he brought some mud ducks over here, but like he got one now.
He's had one or two that I really didn't care too much for, but the one that he's been with for this time, I actually really, really like her. I like her attitude. I like the way she thinks. I like the way she treats him. I like her.
Oh, so you just gonna be mad when they break up?
I am. He tried it, and I was like, well,
she can still date me. She can still date me.
She helps me with my girls.
Oh,
she hangs out with my little one, and she's
really,
really sweet. So he better figure that out.
Nah,
he's gonna get kicked out. She said,
she can come live with us. You got to go. You got to go.
Us now.
Oh my God. So being a comic with your success and stuff, you do run into and then being in LA, I know you run into a lot of celebrities. So what's your funniest encounter that you've had with a celebrity?
Oh my God, I've had 2. Okay, so one was Labor Day weekend about 2 years ago in Vegas. Kevin Hart, it's the Heartbeat weekend, and I don't know how much he had to drink, but he was dancing on a balcony, and I was like standing right next to him, and I recorded it, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. And that was a really dope moment.
You still got the video?
All these people wanting to get in this section that you're in. Wanting to talk to this person that you're talking to. And it's just like, I remember when I used to want to get up there. you know? And I used to be like, if I could just be up there. And now I'm up there, and it was just surreal. And I think my second greatest moment was the day I met Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
I'm opening for Darnell Rollins in Ontario. This had to be about 3 years ago. And Darnell Rollins, as everybody knows, is really good friends with Dave. And he said, Dave is at the Peppermint Lounge doing a secret recording. You want to go? And I said, hell yeah. So we get there. They take everybody's phones because we can't record. And we go in through the back. So we're like in the back of the stage. And Darnell's like, come on, let's go on the stage. You know, Dave's my homeboy, you're going to be fine. So me and him go on the stage. We standing on the stage. And David is high, right? He's high. The whole room is high. The whole room there's weed everywhere. Drinks going. Everybody's high, right? So Darnell's like, come on, let's go stand on the stage. So we both go and we stand on the stage. And as soon as we stand on the stage, I see John Mayer. John Mayer is playing the piano softly behind Dave as he's telling his jokes. And every now and then I would hear somebody in the corner say something and the crowd would roll with laughter. And I'm like, who the hell is that over there? And Darnell goes, oh, that's Drake. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, that's Drake. You know, Drake is real cool with Dave too. So I said, we got Drake on stage in the corner, ad-libbing. We've got John Mayer behind Dave. He's playing the piano softly as Dave tells jokes. We got Dave Chappelle on stage, high as a motherfucker. Crowd is roaring with laughter. And then I'm just standing there like, this is so real.
And then I'm just me. Just right here.
So then Dave goes, you guys want to sing a song with me? So the crowd goes, yeah, we want to sing a song with you. So he goes, we're going to sing Killing Me Softly. So the crowd starts clapping. We're going to sing Killing Me Softly, right? So Dave starts to like turn around and see who's on the stage, and he acknowledges Darnell. And he's like, hey, Darnell, what's going on? So they give each other a hug, a dap. They talk, you know, they're just like talking across the stage. You know, the crowd is laughing because they're so fucking ridiculous to each other. You know, and then he goes, hey, beautiful, who are you? So I went to say something, and Darnell goes, oh, she's my opener for the week, and she's a comedian. She's so goddamn funny. And Dave goes, you funny? And I said, I try to be. So he goes, you want to sing with us? So I said, okay, sure. He goes, wait, I got to ask my friends. So he goes, John, can she sing with us? And John says, he looks me up and down and goes, it's cool with me. So then he goes, I got my friend Drake over here. Drake. So Drake goes, what up? He said, can this beautiful young lady sing with us? And Drake looks at me and goes, she can sing with us. She just can't, as long as she stops staring me in my eyes. And I said, I haven't even looked at you. I haven't seen you. So then Dave goes, you ready to sing? And Dave goes, so it looks like you're good. I said, okay. And before I knew it, I'm on stage with Dave Chappelle singing Killing Me Softly with an entire crowd, hands in the air. I know.
I told you.
Hell when I left.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
After Drake comes up to me after and he goes, I just want to apologize. I hope I didn't offend you. I said, no, you didn't offend me. I didn't even know that was you. And he was like, oh, well, that makes things better. I was like, yeah, it's naturally just looking in the corner. And he was like, cool. Okay. And that was a great night.
Did you really not know it was Drake in that corner?
Because the corner was dark. I couldn't see it. And apparently when we first got there, Drake wasn't up there. He was in the restroom. And then he walked back onto the stage, and I didn't notice who was walking onto the stage because people weren't like, Drake! He just like casually walked through the crowd and just walked on the stage and went in the corner. And I was like, who the fuck is that? You know? Yeah. And then I found out later it was Drake.
Yeah, I heard he has that type of aura. I don't know, like only a few people see it. Like I told you to tell me the funniest encounter you've ever had in a celebrity. You went on and told me the greatest night of your life, and that's
That was because it was so fun to me.
You really like. I don't know if you just never told that story to anybody, or you tell that story to everybody. Just you don't give a fuck what the conversation is. That you
don't tell that story to anyone.
you could be at the grocery store and they'll be like, okay, so do you got a coupon for this? Girl, let me tell you the story. Okay, look, so me, Chappelle, Drake.
It was me, Dave Chappelle, Drake, John Mayer.
No, and nobody.
I never really tell that story. I just, it's like a gem of mine, you know, like it's like my little gem. So I never really tell anybody about it.
Yeah, no, because nobody's ever gonna stop you from telling that story. Like, you should use that in arguments with your life coach boyfriend. Like, y'all could be arguing and be like, first of all, look, okay, so it was me, Dave Chappelle, Donna Rollins, and Drake. Okay,
and
like,
on the
man, and John Mayer. He gonna be like, I done heard this story 42 times, but keep going. Okay.
43. Yeah,
it 43.
It was a great night. So I forgot you said funniest. It was a fun night, I guess. I don't know. But it was great.
Yeah, so if you could change one thing about comedy, what would it be?
If I could change one thing about comedy, what would it be? Change something. I would change I don't know if I could change one thing about stand-up. What would it be? I'd like to see more women on shows. You see so many of these big shows and it's just all men on them, you know, just like all men. And there are no women. I want more diversity with women on shows. I think every comedy show should have at least one female on their show. I would like to see that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
I would like social media to not, because comedy's become a joke for some people. You know, it's like I'm you know, a celebrity on social media. I'm a stand-up comedian now.
Yeah.
And they don't have the respect for stand-up because they don't have the love for it that we do, because they just decided to do it. You know, they didn't fall in love with it. They were just like, I want to do stand-up because I can, versus I want to do stand-up because I love it and I want to. So if I could change comedy, I would, I don't know how I would change that, but I would just I don't want Instagram to be, or social media to be, such a big deal when it comes to the newer and upcoming comedians, because a lot of them don't have the respect for it that they should.
Yeah.
I heard a comedian say that his counterparts in comedy was getting more recognition than he was. And he's been sitting around for 3 years watching everybody pass him. And I'm like, dude, you only been in it for 3 years. Like, you still gotta pay some dues. Like, you just got here. You probably don't even have an hour set yet. You know, like, slow down. You know, and it's because he's Instagram successful.
Yeah.
And when you get to a certain level in comedy, you gotta be funny. You know, the comedy clubs will use your numbers to book you and to get paid and to pay their bills. Yeah. And they don't care if you're funny. They just care if you can put some asses in seats. But then you get to that level in stand-up where people need you to be funny. And the amount of followers that you have don't necessarily matter, as opposed to, can you tell a solid joke? So I wish social media would just, you know, it's just like,
well, I think social media is a gift and a curse. Because I put on shows where I booked a social media I wouldn't say he was a social media comic. I would just say he was a comic, but he was very popular on social media. And you would think that they have all these follows, that they would actually have a lot of people there, not bring one person. But then you'll have people that are like, they know that they'll bring a lot of people because of social media. You'll book them, and they won't be funny. Like, they like will stink up the whole thing, and then what makes it worse is they'll have a guy that's not really popular on social media and just a straight up comic just like go on before them and basically turn that thing out, and they'll
have an attitude about it too. You know, like, I've had comedians have an attitude, just like, I don't want that person going before me anymore. You know, like, and to me, it's just like, do the work. Like, you want to be a stand-up comedian, don't let the social media status stop you from appreciating and loving the craft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
basically.
Because you 15 years in, I'm 12 years in. We love this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what else I would do if it wasn't for stand up. I love it that much that there's
Yeah.
no plan B for me. Like, because stand up is it opens you to so many other things. It's not just stand up comedy. It's getting into acting. It's getting into writing. It's getting into producing. So there's so many different directions that you can go in when you do stand up. So and I just fell in love with it, and I just don't like when I see people who don't love it or appreciate it the way that I do.
Yeah.
So if I could
Basically.
change anything, it would be the effect that social media has on stand-up comedy, the negative effect that it has on stand-up comedy,
Yeah.
with
Nah, so.
breeding these social media comedians who don't respect. Now, if you respect the game, then I'm okay. Like Ryan Davis, he started off as a social media comedian, but Ryan Davis is
Oh yeah.
so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
on stage, he is a monster on stage. But that's because he did his homework and he respects the game.
Yeah,
So
no,
that's
yeah,
what I
no.
would say.
There and then there's other guys like I watched Country Wayne actually
Hmm.
when he first started doing stand up, and then to when he's doing stand up now, he's gotten a lot better,
Hmm.
and from just being like, and this is just him being a stand up comic and stuff, and then like I'm starting to see like trends where with social media guys, like like because a lot of people have already called him out about it and stuff, so now it's like they got to show up or go
Yeah,
home and stuff.
yeah.
So now it's I think it's better now, like because people are just basically telling you that
You need to
you
be
can't just
funny and,
you
and
can't just
work. You
make it on
can't just
social
walk
media.
in and say, I have 1 million followers, I'm here. You gotta, you
They
could book a show
Yeah,
and
they had a
sell out.
moment.
But the goal is to get these people to want to come back. And if you want them to come back, you gotta make it worth their while and you gotta give them a good show. So that's what
Yeah.
I change. Yeah.
Okay, so what what are your thoughts on the future of comedy so far?
I don't know. We are in a pandemic and we don't know
Yeah.
when the end will, when, and even when it is over, live entertainment is going to take the hardest hit, because that's where the gatherings are.
I think it'll have a strong like start and then slow down. Cause like I know a lot of people is basically like, man, I can't wait till this pandemic's over so we can celebrate such and such. But then you'll get like exhausted from like making up like for all the time you missed.
Hmm.
That now it's just like, man, I ain't going nowhere. Like plus
Right.
everybody can still get COVID and stuff.
Right.
So cause we're gonna be dealing with COVID for probably another 20 years
It's
and
going to be a
stuff.
lot of virtual stuff the next, a lot of
A lot of
virtual.
outdoor stuff. A lot of
Yeah,
outdoor.
outdoor virtual stuff because a
Yeah.
lot of people are just afraid, to just, and even when the world does open back up, people are, like you said, people are still going to be scared to move around.
Yeah, definitely,
you know
definitely,
yeah, because we
definitely.
didn't get rid of it completely, we just slowed it down.
Yeah.
So I think
So
that that's it. Yeah.
yeah. So all right, we just got like a few more questions left. Okay, so if you could choose one comedy club and three comedians to perform on your perfect show, which comedy club would it be, and what are the three comedians?
My perfect show, oh my god,
Yeah.
it would be the Laugh Factory in Hollywood.
Hmm.
I would bring the Laugh Factory in Hollywood. I would bring Clayton English.
Okay.
I think he is ridiculously
Yeah.
funny. I would bring. Hmm. I love Zainab Johnson.
Okay.
She's hilarious. I would bring
Yes.
Zainab. And to round it off, I would have to go with Carlos Miller.
That sounds
It's
like the greatest lineup of all time. You just keep
hysterical.
coming with these gems, huh?
Yeah,
Like I told
he
you,
is.
just give me your perfect show. You was like, you know what? Give me best night of your life. Okay, give me best night of your
I
life
think
and stuff.
I think that would be a great show because Clayton is so political. Like he could be really political and just like so. His thought process is so different. And Zainab just has a different perspective. She's Muslim. She's black. She's just like I love the way she talks. I love her voice. I love her opinion. And then Carlos is just like fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like one of those shows where you get a little bit of everything for everybody, you know? So I think that would be the perfect show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so we usually do this. We usually end it with this thing we call either or. Basically, but it's a comedy edition. So basically, I'm gonna give you some topics, and you're gonna pick which one you would prefer. Now, these are just your own preferences. I'm not gonna judge you or anything like that, or say like, man, you don't know shit or anything like that. But I just want you to give your honest opinion. Okay, so the first one, Samore or Monique?
Wow. For comedy, I'm picking them for comedy.
Yeah.
Monique.
Okay. Kev on stage or to hear more?
Why would you do that? For comedians, I'm gonna go with to hear more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy or Mike Epps?
Eddie Murphy.
Coming to America or Friday?
Coming to America.
The Comedy Cellar or the Comedy Store?
Cellar.
Tacarra Williams or Richard Pryor?
Me or Richard Pryor? I'm gonna go with me.
Exactly. See, spoken like a true comic. Spoken like a true comic. Spoken like a true comic. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like the first couple of times I did that with a comic, they always pick Richard Pryor. Like, oh, that's a god. And I was like, yeah, but don't you got to give yourself a little bit of credit?
Right. I pick me.
Yeah.
Yourself. Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm picking me.
Yeah, no, I only learned to do that from when I was playing basketball in high school and stuff like that. We'd always have conversations like who was better, and then like people would ask like, so you better or Kobe Bryant? And I'd be like, I'm better. Like, and everybody knew you were lying, but you were like, yeah, if Kobe Bryant challenged me, I ain't gonna punk out or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put up a strong 1.5.
He gonna win, but I'm gonna try a little bit.
Yeah, like he gonna give my best. He gonna give my best and stuff like that. So, but man, Tacarra, it was a great time talking to you. Sorry we kept you up so late. Oh yeah, so like just to like help you out. So, when we going back to the conversation about relationships and stuff like that, like one thing is after 9 o'clock, like anything you tell your girl, she automatically assumes that you're lying. So I'm just going to show you that I wrote, this is the text.
I can't see it. You got to put it down.
Right here?
It's blurry.
Oh, it's blurry? Oh, wait. Can I back it up a little bit? Let me know when you can see it. Let me know when you can see it.
It's just blurry.
Okay. Well, you got me in trouble. Like I told her I was still interviewing and she said I was lying. So when she sees this, well, no, I got that's why I got to videotape this. So if I videotape this and I'll be like at 10:30 still
filming and you were just trying to accommodate me because I got into a fender bender yesterday and I was unable to film yesterday and you were just trying to be an accommodating host and
yeah, no, don't worry. When she watches this, she's gonna be mad a few times. I might have to call you and your life coach for domestic violence tips and stuff. So she'll know. She'll
live. I had a good time.
She might. But yeah, man, I definitely can't wait to work with you again.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the most talented female comedians I've seen in a very long time. And I just know when this pandemic's open, you're gonna be back to doing shows all over, and then you might not even need your life coach anymore. You might be able to argue back and stuff. So thank you, Tacarra Williams, for coming out and talking to us.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye, guys.
But before you go, where can everybody find you on social media?
Just follow me on everything at Tacarra Williams, Tacarra Williams, on every platform. And I should be coming to a city near you, social distancing, safe. Though, okay?
Yes.
Gonna be safe, okay?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So if you guys are on the East Coast and stuff like that, you can catch her this weekend in DC, and I think you got something coming up in Miami in a little bit, or
yeah, I have DC coming up, Cleveland, Ohio coming up, and then Miami coming up.
Okay, so if you guys are on the East Coast or Midwest, catch her out. You guys are gonna have a real treat. My name's Tyson Paul. This is We on the Last with Tyson Paul. Thank you guys for coming out and watching this. Just remember to laugh at life because it's actually pretty funny. So, all right, see you next episode. Later.
Bye, guys. Bye.